Welcome to another episode of Dynamic Diecasters, where this week we're going to continue our Titanic build, with this being stages 5 through 8. And when we come back, we'll go ahead and get started on stage number 5. Welcome back. Like I said before, one of our fabulous new intros. I hope you guys enjoy those. We had fun putting them together, but we're going to be starting on issue number 5, or stage number 5 of the Titanic build. One thing I want to point out, I didn't see it in the first 4 because they came in bigger containers, but going forward, I don't know if it's going to be like this, but you'll see I have these boxes that the parts come in, but they're not necessarily labeled with what stage we're on. So I'm kind of going to have to wing it and look at the magazines to know which ones are which. So stage 5 is the whole section and the connectors. So like I normally do, we'll go through the parts first, and then we'll do the build. Looking through these, I don't think the stages are going to take that long, but I have to guess on which ones are which. I think that's stage 5. I think this is actually stage 4, but we'll see. I could be completely wrong, because I could envision that these should be a lot heavier. So this is not stage 4. This could be it. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like this is stage 4. Yep. So the first part of the stage will be the starboard bow hull section. I said that completely wrong. But that's the starboard bow hull section. And then we've got short connecting rods for the engines, which are in this little bag right here. There's also other parts in here that I'll go through. The connecting shaft is right here. And then in this bag, we've also got valve rods and a couple of link sections. So with that being said, that's all the parts in this stage. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and do this part, and when we come back, I'll show you what we did. I don't envision it being but like 15 seconds. It's not going to be very long. So we'll see in a few. Like I thought, that didn't take very long at all. It took about 6 minutes real time. So we did not do anything with the bow hull section. We will do something with it today, though, because I think in one of them later stages we get the other section and we'll connect it to this. But we'll set that aside for now. What we did work on was we connected the valve rods and the links and the what did they call them? The grips, I think, to the shaft. So we had the connecting shaft right here, and then we had the valve rods and the short connecting rods to the engine, as well as the valve rods. So we connected those all right here. I'm assuming this will go, if you guys watched the first episode, we started part of the engine. I would assume this probably will attach to it. But we'll put that to the side for now. We'll move on to stage 6. And again, I'll have to figure out, I think it's the one I opened right here, but we'll validate that. Stage 6, if I can get to it. We'll be continuing whole section in the engine parts. So, like I said before, when we were talking about that's all that's in there. So, maybe this isn't it, or maybe all the parts are in here. Okay, they are, okay. The packaging in this set is very odd. Compared to if you guys have watched all my other episodes, or all my other builds, they're in bags or bigger boxes. These are like kind of small boxes and not labeled at all, so I'm having to guess. So, first part is the section of the whole upper bow starboard. So like, you know, the last one was the starboard lower bow. So this is the upper bow. And it's got an etched Titanic right here. I don't know if you guys can pick it up on camera, but that's the first part. And then again, we've got 2 valve rods, 2 link sections in here, and then we've also got 3 DM screws. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started on this section, and I'll show you what we completed when we get back. It shouldn't be very long for this either. I don't envision with there only being like 6 parts in the whole build. So I'll see you in 15 to 30 seconds. So that's it for stage 6. So what we did was, what we showed you in stage 5, we added 2 more of the valve rods to the crankshaft. But then, if you remember the engine piece that I built last time, we basically, I think we completed this section of it. So to test, you work this flywheel anti-clockwise or counterclockwise, and you can see everything moves smoothly. So everything's working with that. The only other thing that we did in this stage is we connected this the piece that we got in stage 5 to the one we received in stage 6. So that's what this piece looks like currently. So with that, we'll move on to stage 7. Again, I'll have to guess which, if I can grab the, it wouldn't come with me. We're working on the base of the engine in this one. So it looks like a continuation of what I just showed you with the crankshaft will be in this stage. It looks like there's a lot of screws in this one, so we'll see if I guess right with which parts these are. And it looks like I guessed right because that's one of the parts. So make sure that I get all the parts out of here. Yep, I did. Okay, at least the boxes are very consolidated though. It's just weird how it's boxed up, but again, this is a totally different manufacturer. So this is Hatchet, done through Agora Models, and supposedly they're way better in terms of quality and stuff like that. And so far, I'm actually seeing that. So I look forward to doing a couple other builds through them based on what I'm seeing with the Titanic so far. So the first part will be the catwalk, which is this piece right here. Oh, actually, it's this piece right here. Then the base for the engine is the piece I said was the catwalk. Then we've got a whole joining plate right here, which I would assume will be the connector on the part that I showed you that we did in stage 6. We tend to add these to each one that connects it to the rest of the boat. So I envision it'll go on the part that I just did in stage 6. And then a bunch of screws. So we've got, let's see, and they staple them together. Again, different ways of doing it. So with this one, if you remember last week, I talked about how the Knight Rider build doesn't tell you how many screws. This one, this magazine tells you. So there's 7 AP screws, with one of them being a spare. Then we've got 4 BP screws. Trying to see if, oh, that's an FN. BP, there's 4 of them with one of them being a spare. Then we've got 5 EM screws with 1 spare, and then 5 FM screws with 1 spare. Like I was saying, there's a lot of screws in this stage. So this one will take me a little bit longer than the previous 2 stages I've taken, but probably about 30 seconds or so I'll come back and I'll show you what we did. So see you in a few more seconds. And that was it for stage 7. So we did a couple of things. So on the top of the engine, if you remember, we didn't have the catwalk or the base of the engine installed. So that's what we did primarily in this stage. We installed the catwalk. So you'll see, you can't tell, but these are 2 ladders. And then this is the catwalk for the engine. And then this is the base of the engine up on top. So that was the primary install. Then the other part that we did was the stage from 4, the first piece of the hull that we put together in the previous episode. That piece that we got in this stage is the support hinge for it. So that's what we installed right here. So that's pretty much what we did in stage 7. We didn't touch anything with the piece of the hull that we've put together so far in this episode. But in stage 8, obviously I know which box that represents because there's only one left. This is the final stage of this episode. So it's going to be details on the forecastle. I believe it's, if you remember from the very first episode, we're probably going to be adding more parts to this in this stage. So we'll go through the parts and then or we might be adding more to it, I don't know, but we'll see as we go through. There aren't that many parts though, so I don't envision there'll be much to do on here. Maybe just a continuance of what we saw in that episode. So in stage 1, I believe it was last time. So with that, we'll go through the parts. The first part is the bow support. So that's this piece right here. Then we've got a bunch of little parts in this bag right here. There's 2 cleats. There's 2 winches. There's 2 valves for the winches. And then there's an anchor chain guide in here, which is this piece right here. Show more detail when we actually put it on the boat. But then the port top strip of the forecastle hull is this part right here. So I'm assuming maybe this goes on the support that we put on the hull earlier, but we'll see. Or we won't be doing anything with it yet. But that's the port top strip of the forecastle hull, and then we've got just a few screws. So we've got 2 CP screws, and then we've got 3 BP screws with 1 spare of each. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started on this stage, and I'll show you what we did, and then we'll conclude this episode. See you in a few. And that's it for stage 8. So what we didn't do anything with the bow support, so I figured we wouldn't. But the majority of what we did was on the deck, the forecastle. So we installed the 2 winches right here, the 2 cleats, the anchor guide right here, and then we installed these 2 valves right here. They'll be hard to pick up, but this part's starting to come together. There's not a lot lot of parts left if you look at like the amount of circles left. I don't know if you can pick them up on camera, but there's a few spots that don't have anything on them yet. So there's probably a few more things that'll go on here, but for the most part, that's done for now, obviously. Then the only other thing that we did in this stage was, like I thought, that support that we installed in the last stage, we installed the white stripe that we got in this stage to it. So this will obviously go all the way around the ship, so you can kind of get an idea of what the ship will look like on the outside from the bottom. So that's it for stage 8. So like I was saying, the majority of what we did was in relation to the engine. So we built up one of these right here, this support, the connecting shaft, and all these valves and the rods. And then we connected it to what we did previously, and then we added the catwalk and the base for the engine. That was the vast majority of what we did there. And then I think it was stage 5, we built this up. And then in this stage, we built more into the deck and this part of the deck. And then we added this support right here and then installed this piece. So that's what we did in this episode for the Titanic. The next episode will actually be the solar system orrery build that we're going to be starting. That's one my son wanted to build that he hadn't started yet, but we're going to add that in with the next episode. The episode after that will actually be the Star Wars build your own X-Wing build. And then depending, we might have an unboxing day video in between there. It depends on whether or not I get something to unbox or not. Otherwise, it'll be another Knight Rider build after that. And at some point, we'll start bringing in the Ghostbusters, DeLorean, and Star Trek builds, since those are getting ready to be restarted again. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys haven't already subscribed to our channel and you're liking these videos, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to our channel, and then hit that bell so you get notified when new videos come out. But for all of us at the Heart of Geek, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good night.